Marketer of the Day, episode 562. Be consistent. Branding, work ethic, organization, and management with WordPress website designer Colleen Keith.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. Now, if you are at all interested in having a WordPress website or a website that looks good or a website that people love or makes sales, and you're going to want to sit up and pay very close attention because we're talking with Colleen Keith. And Colleen is a graphic designer, she's a WordPress stylist, and she offers reliable and versatile creative design services to entrepreneurs, to startups, and growing companies. And she believes that you must be the change you want to see, and she only works with and supports clients that are making a positive change in society and the world. So we're going to dive in and hear about what that's all about. So Colleen, glad to be talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for having me on.
Well, heck yeah. I mean, it's my pleasure. And I'm glad that we're on this topic because I don't know if you've come across this, but it seems like there's all these non-WordPress website solutions out there, right? There's like the lead pages, ClickFunnels, Kajabi, and all of these designs, they look really great, but then, at least for me, I find I'm really limited when I go outside of WordPress because sometimes I can only make a landing page or the membership site doesn't work quite right. So I like using WordPress. But then when I use WordPress, it seems like when I jump into some of these themes, some of these designs, the demo looks great, but then when I want to make the site look the way I want to, I'm limited. So have you seen this as well? Like WordPress is great for functionality, but then with the design, I sometimes have to sort of wrestle with it.
Yeah, I agree with you on the other builders. There's like, like Wix and Squarespace and like lead pages, like you said. And I've worked with almost all of those platforms. Some of my clients just insist on wanting to use them or that works for them for what we're doing. And you are very limited unless you have someone like me or someone even better than me that can play with the CSS and the coding and everything like that. So WordPress is wonderful in that it gives the clients control. It gives them more say in how their website looks and functions. And I find working with a lot of the entrepreneurs and freelancers that I do work with or small companies, they're really looking for that control. The bigger companies are kind of fine to pass their website off to some agency or something to just kind of handle the whole thing, and because they've got too much to do. But a lot of the entrepreneurs and freelancers really want to know how to work their website. They want it to look great, but also be able to have control. They want me to teach them how to do what they want to do. So I make a lot of tutorial videos these days. I used to kind of, in the beginning, I used to fight that a little bit. I was like, well, I can just do it for you. And then I was like, no, let's just give them what they want. This is your client. This is what they want. And this is what you're here to do, is to help them with whatever they need. So I make a lot of tutorials with my clients for their own website. Just be like, this is how you do this specifically for you and specifically for your case. The thing with the themes is that you do sort of, if you want it to look like the demo site, you kind of have to start with the demo, and because you can always download it, whatever theme you purchase, you can install the demo site, and it'll be exactly the demo site on your website, and then you just kind of have to delete their stuff that you don't want and then put in stuff that you want and kind of work from there. But that's part of my job as a WordPress stylist. I don't call myself a programmer, a developer, or anything like that. I just say, okay, I'm a stylist. I'll make it look good. There are limits to what I can help you with functionality, but I will definitely do my absolute best to make it look good, and I will teach you how to keep it looking its best as well. So that's how I help people with their WordPress sites, I guess.
Well, it's super great. And there's a bunch of interesting things in there. Number one, so you're saying that It's better to use WordPress if you're the kind of client or the kind of business that wants to have control over time, and you want to be able to sometimes dive in there. So they have you make the CSS and things look good, but then they might want to, they don't necessarily want to have to throw out their website at a later date, which might be the case if they're on like a Wix or something else. And what's also great about what you're explaining there is that with these tutorial videos, I came across a similar thing. So I do a lot of like WordPress plugins, things like that. And early on, I had that same hesitation that it sounds like you have, where I didn't want to reveal my secrets, right? I just wanted to say, well, if you want to do this on a website, then contact me. But then after a while, I just say, I'm tired of answering the same questions. I'll just go and make these YouTube videos, even for myself, for maybe 6 months down the road when I forgot how to do this certain function or there's certain thing with the web page or the CSS. Then I'm like, well, it's probably more for me than anyone else. So that way I can have that YouTube video. And then what was interesting is that the extra traffic, the subscribers, the popularity or whatever, that little bit of a boost changed things where I had to begin turning down work. So it's kind of it was a weird mindset shift for me too, that from going from scarcity to abundance, where I thought I was giving away everything, but it turned out that, the answer was out there already in some form anyway, right? Someone can go and look on YouTube and find a similar answer there. And then what's also great, as we're kind of picking up here, is that if we see how that demo site looks and we want to buy that theme and set up our site similarly, you're saying to click the button and get the demo site set up and then kind of chip away at that, as opposed to trying to start from scratch and build up to the demo site, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like if it's already built for you, it already looks great. You loved it. So why not just start with it and then just style it the way you want? Like I just did this recently for a client. She's a financial aid or financial support for small businesses. So we picked like a financial theme and everything like that. And it was just huge. Like this demo theme was like 100 pages or so with all of these like fake posts and everything like that. So it took me like a couple of hours to get it down to like the 8 pages that she needs her site to be, but once we did that, it looked really great. Everything's kind of stylized, and there's so many different ways, so many different plugins for WordPress now of how you can build a WordPress site. And I don't know them all. I know a lot of them, but if a theme is using a builder that I'm not familiar with, then it's really great for the theme demo pages to be there for me to use, at least just to reference, because then I can easily be like, oh, I see how they're making that. So yeah, I can easily duplicate that, make more pages of it and stuff like that. So yeah, something I didn't mention before, WordPress is one of the most versatile in adding all of those plugins. So if you want to add like all of the different email marketing services, payment gateways, podcasts, and anything else that you're wanting to add in, social networking, it's just so easy. Whereas, and there's multiple ways to do it. Whereas I find some of the other smaller sites limit you in what you can use. Like I made a landing page for a client recently with lead pages, and she wanted to use, I think she wanted to use PayPal, but Lead Pages only works with Stripe. So then she had to make a Stripe account, and it was a little bit limiting. But when you use WordPress, the sky's the limit, and you can just do so much with it, even if you're a small company.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I found that as well, that it seems like the grass is always greener on the other side. And some of these other all-in-one solutions, they're great for what they are. But like, I think there was one where someone wanted to change PayPal accounts. They had one account set up with PayPal and they said, well, I want to use something different, or I want to change the Stripe. And the tech support was like, well, you just have to start with a brand new account. We can't even change that setting for you. Or there was one of these where they wanted to have an opt-in page and a free gift, like a 3 megabyte PDF. And then in the Facebook groups, they said, well, we can only host up to a 2 megabyte file. You have to go over to Amazon S3 for this and Zapier for that. And I'm thinking, well, geez, like whatever happened to this all-in-one thing? So it seems like no solution out there is perfect. There's the advantages and disadvantages. And with WordPress, I mean, the disadvantage is that you can do everything, right? And things can get too complicated. But I guess that's, if we're willing to go down that rabbit hole and do those couple of things and put the pieces together, I mean, I'm all for that. And like you said, it seems like there's somewhat of a figuring out what plugins you like or what plugins do things, or looking in the source code. And I've been amazed at some of these things that I thought were custom solutions. And then it turned out that someone made a site and they just used some sort of WooCommerce add-on, or they used, like a Ninja Forms or a Gravity Forms to do this thing that I thought was completely custom, but they just sort of put the building blocks of WordPress together. So, I mean, I'm right there with you as far as, being on the WordPress train if possible. But so the one thing that has held me back, I think, quite a bit is that sometimes I'm a little hesitant to put some trust in a designer, right? Like sometimes I'm fine with, meeting with someone, and paying a couple $100 every time. And then over time that adds up to, thousands of dollars, but I kind of see it happen along the way. But then as far as making the big jump, like I've talked to designers and web page builders sometimes, and they said, okay, well, to make this web page that you're looking at here, that'll be $8,000. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I have no problem paying $8,000 if I see it happen over time, but just to make that big leap, I really hesitate. So am I alone in this? Is this a thing that you've seen in your WordPress travels?
Yeah, with pricing and everything, it is sometimes people are hesitant to pay the amount of money that it needs, but actually it needs there's a lot of testing. Like people don't understand how much a developer or a WordPress stylist like myself is figuring things out behind the scenes, because every client is different. Every website is different. The photos and the text and the plugins that one client wants is completely different to another one. So I've been recently collaborating as the website designer. I didn't build the website, but I'm just the designer for another financial website, and that has been a huge, monstrous task for the developer, because there's so many streams that this website needs to, this WordPress website needs to connect with. They've got podcasts, there's courses and plugins and logins for private accounts, and she's figuring stuff out too. And she's an amazing developer, and she's having to figure stuff out too, like how does this email marketing thing work together with this course website and everything like that. So there's a lot of time and effort that does go into making the sites. And if you do want to do it piecemeal and just pay for each page as you go, then that's kind of one way to do it. I provide my packages as either if someone wants a brand new site, that's a set fee, and we discuss how big their website's going to be, and then I provide a set fee, and that is the scope, and then we stick within that scope, and if they go outside the scope, then that's a little bit more money. Or if people want to refurbish their website or something, then we might work on an hourly rate, or we might again decide on a set fee for the set scope or something like that. So it's really, if you're struggling with the financials, I would really just kind of discuss with the designer how you want to do it, because I work to my client. I work at the speed of the client. I work to how the client wants to work, how slow they want to work, how they want to pay. I just want to make it really easy for them, because my whole job is to make their lives a bit easier. So, and they're doing me the wonderful favor of hiring and paying me. So I'm just going to make that as easy for them as possible. So if you come up against like a really difficult designer, then I would say, well, you're not making this very easy for me, so maybe I'll just take my business elsewhere. That's my thought on that.
Yeah, fair enough. And this was a few years ago, and I think that my problem with that particular designer was not sticking to the scope, as you said. Like, I think that it wasn't very clear, like, what exactly was going to be set up, and I think I wasn't managing my expectations enough, and then on the designer's end, I think that maybe he was not detailed enough, so I didn't have a clear picture of what I was paying for exactly. I didn't have like a mock-up or a list of bullet points or things like that. So it sounds like the problem, it wasn't in the hiring itself, it was just in maybe I should have asked a couple of designers and seen who had a better system, who had a better, maybe not a better offer for me, because that sounds like price, but a better, I don't know, a clearer end result by the end.
Yeah, you really want to make sure that everything's clear, and I offer my scope in bullet points. Like, as you said, it's just so much clearer, and I provide unlimited correspondence, because some clients just need a lot more discussion to understand it. Some clients just whiz through all of the theme selection and they totally get it. And then others are really confused because they can't imagine their content on the theme demo. And I have to talk them through that a little bit. And I'm totally fine to do that, because there are things in life that I need to be talked through completely step by step, like putting together an IKEA desk. So I'm always wanting to provide whatever I can for my client to make it easier for them to understand what we're doing together, or what they're needing to have happen to make a change in their business.
Yeah, I mean, I agree totally that it's important to keep that correspondence going, because I think at some point or another, we've all dealt with either that freelancer or the person we were hiring where it was just a black box, right? We just said, all right, well, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that in 3 months they come through on the other end and it's what I wanted. So sort of to I don't know, to get our fears lessened and to make this whole hiring designer thing sound fun. Do you have any interesting stories or case studies where you worked with someone and you made a really great website?
Yeah, for sure. So I made a really great website for one client recently. She is a wellness client, and maybe I'll give you a couple different ideas of my client. So she knew exactly what she wanted. She was very concise and very straightforward. And she's like, I want my site to be this. I really like this theme. And she had everything ready to go. She was so incredibly organized. And we made her site, and that was a really easy process. There were some things I had to figure out and everything along the way, but she was just so willing to learn and so easygoing to make things happen. And it was an absolute dream to work with her. And we chose a really, really, really simple theme, because she's like, you know what? I don't want to take on too much for my first website. I just want to take it slow and learn these ropes, because it's her first WordPress site. And I was like, good, that's great. I'm happy. I'm here to help you make whatever kind of site you want. And we made that for her, and she's loved it. And then maybe 6 months later, she's like, okay, I'm ready to build on this now. So she's like, I've got the hang of it. Okay. So she's like, I want to make some courses. I'm making some courses. I'm going to make a retreat. And then we made a huge new marketing system for her. So we made pages on her website that then connected to several lead pages. And then those had to connect to her MailChimp list. And all of that had to connect to her freebie that was going on her payment gateway. And that was like her next level step of learning about her business and about all of this technology and everything. And I was really so lovely to work with her. And I think she was very grateful for the step-by-step instruction that I gave her. But I also learned a lot of things along the way, like lead pages doesn't work with PayPal. I didn't know that. Not really. So I really love working with clients that enable me to learn along the way as well. So that was a wonderful client to work with. I had another client who is sort of a motivational client online, and she also makes kind of intention jewelry for everyone to have. She's at Wanderlust and everything like that. Her name's Fierce Forward, and she wanted a site to look exactly like someone else's website, and I was like, well, okay, yeah, sure, we can kind of we go with that, because I don't want to copy someone's site entirely, but I'm like, we can start with that. We can start with the shell. So then we bought the theme, and there's a lot of CSS involved because they've done a lot of custom work. So I learned a lot dealing with all of that, like a lot of custom CSS. And then I was kind of getting to making basically a replica of this other person's site, but with my client's all own content, which was completely different from the other person's site. And then she was like, you know what? Well, do you mind? Could we change this? And actually, I want this to be a little more personal. And I want this to be, I actually don't like the font that they use. And then we kind of adjusted and developed it. And then it turned into a really, really beautiful site that was definitely all about her style and her taste. And she just kind of she knew where she wanted to start with, but she couldn't see the final product. Whereas my first client could. My first client could see the exact final product in her mind. She just couldn't make it. But that client was like, I want to make it sort of like this other person's site. And I guess we'll go from there. And I'm like, sure, we can do that. And we did. And now it's evolved into something really beautiful. And I'm really loving her site now. So I guess that's two different little case studies. I haven't had any really terrible WordPress experiences, honestly. Most of them work out in the end. Even if I have to talk to the website support or the theme support or anything like that, then, but yeah, we usually work it all out in the end. There's a lot behind the scenes that goes on.
Yeah, it sounds like it, from like the customizing the theme, the CSS, making it work with other systems, but it seems like in the end, you have a way to make it work. And it also sounds like if someone is thinking about having someone like you design their website, or they're thinking of working with you, it's a good idea to at least have some picture of what the end result will be, either if they have a perfect design in their head and you can just find a similar theme and make it work, or a competitor's website and say, okay, well, I want it to look like this but with my own stuff. But it sounds like a real key component there is knowing that end goal, and not just saying, well, I have a website, I'm not really sure what it'll look like, just impress me. I think it sounds like that's not a good way to go about things. Is that right or incorrect?
Yeah, it's really important that you have some kind of vision, even if you have to kind of draw it on paper. Sometimes just the communication back and forth isn't quite working, and I'm just like, can you just draw what you want? Just, even if it's stick figures, I don't care what it looks like, just draw it. Just try and draw something. I find that really helps people to get their ideas down on paper. And it just helps me to visualize it a bit more. I'm currently working with another client on it's not her first website, but it's her first WordPress website. I think she built the other one on Wix or something like that, all by herself. So we're trying to do her new one. And she's really struggling with what the themes look like and how that theme will look like with her content. So she's someone that really struggles with the visualization, which is totally fine. Like, not everyone's a visual learner or visual visioner, but everyone's different. So I have had to kind of take screenshots of one of the themes that we liked and just kind of change the colors for her and be like, okay, can you see it a bit better now? What we could do with this? And she's like, yes, that makes sense. So it's really helpful if you do a lot of research yourself and be like, I want it to look like this, but with my stuff, or I want it to be like this, but a little bit different in this way. So it just helps and makes the process much faster, because everyone's wanting things done super quickly these days. So the more information you can give to your designers, the better they can work. And if you have no idea, then you just need to be prepared to wait for a while and probably pay a little bit more for them to go through a huge concept and development process with you.
And that makes perfect sense. If a client of yours knows exactly what they want, then things will move a lot quicker. Whereas if they know what they want but can't quite put it into pictures, or they're not sure what they want and they need to see a lot of different options, that makes total sense that that would cost more and there would be more back and forth and more delays in making sure that everything is exactly dialed in. And so what is once someone starts working with you, what is the turnaround time and sort of the price range? I mean, I know that's a totally loaded question, but I mean, how fast are we talking here? How cheap or expensive are we talking here?
It is a loaded question. It can completely depends on the client and their website. So currently, let's see. If I think back, I have made that custom one with a lot of custom CSS and everything like that. My client and I talked about that for about a month before we got to doing anything, just because she was like, I want to know what you need. I want to have all that ready. And then it took me, I think, 2.5 weeks of me like consistently daily working on it. But that was a big push, and she had a big reason for it needing to be launched at a certain time. So that was something like she gave me lots of warnings. She's like, I need this done on this date. I'm like, okay, well, this is how we're going to do it, and that's going to be the schedule. And then I'm currently working on another one that I've been working on for 6 months, and we're maybe 80% of the way there. But my client is really, really busy, and she can kind of only look at the website once a week, maybe twice a week. So again, I work at the speed of the client, and if the project's going quite slow, then I start to, there's always a deposit payment, but if it's going quite slow, then I'm like, okay, we're gonna need another deposit payment. Like if you pay 50% up front, then I'm gonna need another 25% because this has taken 6 months already, sort of thing. And the actual packages for the WordPress sites, again, these are just for like entrepreneurs or freelancers. If it was a company, I'd have to really see their scope and what they were needing. But for entrepreneurs or freelancers, I start at about $3,000.
Okay. And what's the highest you've gone for this?
Around about 6,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and
cool.
I know I'm decent. Some people would call that very affordable. Some people wouldn't call that affordable at all. So it really, I've done a lot of work and a lot of tracking of my hours and everything. And I'm an entrepreneur and freelancer myself, and I know what things cost as a small little person all by yourself. So I try and make that affordable to my clients, and I believe I give them good value for what I can provide.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I'd say that that's very affordable. I mean, but even though like it's hard to, I mean, it's different for everyone, so it's hard to like just get it narrowed down to a price range there. But I mean, yeah. I mean, I've made web pages for $12,000. I have friends who even before the WordPress days have cranked out web pages for 30 grand with just straight up HTML coding. So I mean, it's if someone is serious about having a website, then I mean, in comparison, things are way cheaper these days and way faster moving. It can get a heck of a lot more accomplished than even a few years ago here. And so as we're beginning to wind down here, something that really popped in and I'm really curious about is, so you say that there's some of these projects that are just 3 months, 6 months, because the client only has a few hours a week to devote to it, or things get sort of slowed down. So how do you keep your eye on the ball, so to speak? How do you keep things from becoming the project from hell? I mean, I know that you mentioned there that you take that deposit and you might take a little more deposit if things are moving slow, and like money is a good motivator, but sometimes it's hard to drag yourself back into something that you haven't looked at for 2 or 3 weeks. So how do you make sure that for those projects you have, you don't let it get away from you?
I just keep reminding my clients of their steps that they need to take. So every time I make some progress, I send them an updated email with the progress, and I'm like, or on whatever communication network they like to work in, like Slack or something like that. And then I'm like, okay, so this is what I've done. Here is your next to-dos, and let me know when you've done those. And if a week goes by and they've done nothing, I send a reminder email. And then if another week goes by, then I start to send the emails a little bit more often. So I just kind of keep tabs on who hasn't provided me with work or the next update. And also I sent out, this is the first year I've done this because I'm actually relatively a new running my own show sort of person just since about 2014. So this is the first year I've actually sent out an email of all of my holidays in advance. And that really got a lot of people fired up. They're like, oh, okay, so you're going away for like 3 weeks in May and then again for like 3 weeks in August. I'm like, yep, that's my plan. They're like, okay. So they like really had to get themselves organized to get me everything. And I sent out dates and I was like, okay, so I'm going away on May 5th. Therefore, the last day that people can send me stuff is this date. And it really got people moving. So I find that just with gentle reminders and with deposits and and I also put into those emails like, hey, so just different ways of saying this is your project. We're not going to get anywhere with building your business if you can't get this done. And then that usually gets them moving. Usually.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, usually, but not always, right? Yeah. And so that's those are all really great things for us all to sort of take to heart. There is for if we're going to be away or doing those holidays, like announce that in advance. And if we have some sort of client work in any context, send those gentle reminders, send those updates, make it clear that that client has a couple of to-dos to get back to you so that way that you can continue going. But as far as things like just when you said like, you know, if they're not picking up the pace or they're not responsive, you'll send more reminders. How do you keep track of that? Is that the sort of thing where you keep that in your head, or do you have like a paper calendar or an online calendar, or every once a week do you just go through what needs to go through, or just how do you stay organized with all that stuff?
So I am such a pen and paper girl. I love pen and papers. I have one yearly calendar, like a book agenda, and then I also have I don't know if you know the Best Self Journal. It's a daily motivation, get your shit done sort of journal, and that is for my daily to-dos. But I plan out in my weekly one. I'm like, okay, so poke this client every Wednesday or something like that. And I've also tried to automate that a little bit more by putting reminders in my phone that something just pokes me I think I have it on every Monday. So it pokes me, either I put in a specific client to check in with, or it's just like check in on all ongoing projects. And then I'm like, okay. And then I just look at I track all my projects with Toggle. So then I'm kind of looking just at all the projects I have currently going on, the ones that aren't closed off. And I'm like, okay, that person, I'm still working on that. That's working on that. That's working. And then I'll be like, maybe I'll ask them where they've gone to. But I've got a new app that I purchased an embarrassingly long time ago, and I haven't set it up yet, called Sales Flare. And I think that should be helping me a little bit more with the automation part of that. But so far, pen and paper works really well for me. At least.
Yeah, keeping it simple. And I love hearing your thought process as far as just the little pokes, right? It's like just pushing everything forward, checking in with everything, so that way it doesn't become like back in school when we were way behind on a project and had to rush and do an all-nighter. We just make sure to stay ahead of things and make sure that things are cranking right along. So, I mean, this has been a great conversation here about, you know, productivity and about WordPress and about your thought process and dealing with people. So if people are listening here today and they're like, okay, well, a lot of this is making sense. I need to have Colleen work on my website, whether that's new or it's a refurbished job. So if someone's listening here, how do they know if they're a good fit as a client for you?
A good fit as a client is I only work with clients that are serving the greater good. This is a real stickler for me. So I really want your company or you to be doing something to help others or to help the planet or to help society in general. I don't really love working with people who are just helping themselves or helping the man, like I don't care how many millions they would pay me. I'd never work for McDonald's sort of thing. So I mostly work with I have a lot of health and wellness coaches, lots of yogis. I work with several charities and nonprofits, people who are making really innovative new things that are really going to change the world, or helping people think in a different way. And I also love working with new environmental projects. Really love working on that kind of stuff, or ways that society can just function better. There was a medical app that I did some design for, and I really loved the concept of it. I was just like, this is going to help make everyone have better access to healthcare. It just is just going to change the world. So I will definitely hold my client's hand every step of the way. So if you need that, then you can come and talk to me about it. But yeah, I really love working with people who are really passionate about helping others or helping some cause, whether that's with their business or how they donate to their business or donate proceeds from their business, something like that.
Okay, great. So serving the greater good, whether that means their business itself, like, helps medically or with the kids learning or something, or how they use their profits to help some rainforest or build schools in Africa or something like that, serving the greater good. So if someone says, all right, I'm serving the greater good, I need a new or a better website, and I want to reach out to Colleen, where do they go? What's that process like?
So they can go to my website, which is ColleenKeith.com, or I do also have a booking page on BookMe. So I can provide that link for you. I think it's just BookMe/Colleen Keith. But yeah, I can provide that for you. And it's just I give free consultations to everyone who wants one. We can just chat for 15 minutes and see if we'd be a good fit for each other. And yeah, that's kind of how we get going. I like to know a little bit of what they're thinking about doing, because I don't just offer WordPress. I also offer graphic design and ebooks and all of that kind of stuff. So it depends what someone's wanting. And I just like to have a little intro email and be like, hey, I'm needing a WordPress site or a new logo or something like that. And I'd love to have a free consult. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm happy to talk to anyone at any time of day.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you offering that, because just sometimes in my own sort of situation, sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I want to get someone to help out with my Facebook ads or someone to help out with podcasting. And there have been times when I've just been stuck for months because I wasn't even sure like what to do, where to go. And then whenever someone offered a kind of consultation like that, I'd end up meeting with them, and it would lead to hiring them for something. So I guess both good and bad, right? If you want to get unstuck out of the mud, then hopping on one of these free consultations is one of the best things you'll ever do. But the warning, you might end up paying money for it and then end up growing your business as a result. So if you're the kind of person where you want to get out of the confusion zone, you want to meet with someone and tell them what your needs are and have them tell you in what way they can help, then you might end up buying some sort of package from them and end up getting a business that pays out way more money than you paid in. But that will mean moving out of your comfort zone. That will mean just getting straight on your goals and what you want. So definitely take advantage of that free consultation that you can find at ColleenKeith.com. And there's her Book Me page there. And like Colleen said, it might be for WordPress reasons, it might be for graphic design reasons, it might be for ebook reasons. But if you know what you want, if you know that you can't necessarily do it yourself, maybe you don't have the skill, or it would just take too long to do it, you need it done now, you need it done better than you could do it with that homemade look and feel, then do yourself a favor and go to ColleenKeith.com. That's ColleenKeith Keith, ColleenKeith.com. Set up that appointment with her and let her know what you have going on and see if she can help or see if she can give you some ideas or point you in the right direction. So ColleenKeith.com is the place to go. And we've had a lot of interesting things to chew on here as far as time management, as far as what we need to know with our WordPress sites. So as we close the book on our interview here, Colleen, is there any lasting words of advice you want to tell all of us entrepreneurs, or anything that you wish you'd known a few years ago when you started, anything like that?
Oh, when I started, I'm an accidental entrepreneur. So I literally became a freelancer because I couldn't find a job in the new country I'd moved to. So yeah, start small and figure things out yourself is the long way, but it's also like a really good and toughens you up and makes you understand the whole process better. But I guess if I was going to say one word of advice, it would be consistency. Just be consistent in your brand, be consistent in your work and your work ethic, and try not to lose momentum or steam, because consistency is the key to just keep on going. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day on your passion project, just consistency and keep pushing. Do the work.
I love it. Even that 5 minutes a day adds up, and it's like if you're on a bicycle, once you're going super quick, it's easy to keep going quick, but if you stop, you have to put in all that work to pick up speed again. So who wants that? So great advice there. Start small, be consistent with your brain, with your work ethic, with what you do, and then it'll be way easier and more fun and more profitable and more rewarding in the long run. So ColleenKeith.com, and we'll see you there. And thanks, Colleen, for stopping by and setting us straight on what we all need to be doing in our business. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been great.
Subscribe to us right now while it's still fresh on your mind at marketeroftheday.com.